Hey friends, welcome back to the cabin, and today's video is all about saving asparagus seeds. When you're choosing your asparagus berries, these are not the actual seeds, and that's what we're going to cover in today's video. When you're choosing these, you want the deepest, glossiest red that you can find. That is going to be your most mature pods. You want to avoid these like this that have still have a lot of green on them, because those are not mature. And of course you want to avoid ones like these right here that are obviously there's a problem with them. So, and I'm going to say this is most likely from the weather. The bouts of rain that we've had has set up for some disease to get started. So to have the healthiest plants, you want to start with the healthiest seeds. Asparagus is a perennial, so when you choose your site to plant, you want to choose wisely, because that is going to be a permanent bed. So you want it where it's going to be comfortable for you for it to be there on a permanent basis. And also, asparagus is not a first-year crop. What you want to do is to allow it to come up and to die back for 2 to 3 years. Well, actually, the third year is the optimum time to harvest your asparagus. Now, the second year, you can sparingly harvest, but what the asparagus is doing is it is growing and building energy so that by the time you reach the third year, you can harvest pretty aggressively, and the plant is strong enough and has stored enough energy in its roots that it can bounce back and finish growing through the year, through the season, and then be ready to come back strong in its fourth year. Now, the web of roots, well, it's actually not a web of roots, it's like tendrils of thick roots. That's where the asparagus is going to store its energy. So you don't want to harvest aggressively the second year. I would say a few sprigs, a few sprouts from each plant, maybe 1 or 2 meals, and then you just let it grow aggressively through the rest of the season. You want to harvest early in the spring when the sprigs are about 8 inches tall, and you do want to cut just below the ground surface, the soil surface. Try not to cut above, but just below. And then when the season, early summer actually, you'll begin to see that it's starting to slow down a little, the stalks are getting thick, and you want to allow it to go ahead and just grow and become that beautiful tall fern-like plant, and let it build its energy for the next year. So you know that the seeds are going to start setting on the female plants in the fall, late summer and fall, and you'll start looking for those. I'm not sure, I haven't experienced seeds in the first year. The second year maybe, third year usually, if you have female plants, usually you will have that. Here we have a bowl with some berries that I picked just a little bit ago, earlier today, and you can see that I do have some of the greener or browner ones that aren't completely red and not quite as glossy maybe. This is a bowl that I picked a couple of weeks ago, and I've allowed them to just sit on the counter and to dry, and you can see that they're kind of shriveled up. You can tell that maybe they're not as glossy, and they're just a little bit drier. But I want to show you this. This is actually what the little tiny seeds look like that are in the berries. So here we have one of the berries that I would consider not mature. It still has a lot of green on it. It's not red by any means. It's maybe a little bit of orange here and there, but I'm going to try to show you why you don't want these. And let's see if I can show you. You can see the little seeds in there, but these, you're wanting a hard seed, and if you can see here, this seed will just tear apart. You see that it is not mature. So that is why you don't want the green or brown or even the light orange, because the seeds are not quite mature. So, and sometimes they are to the point that you could actually, well, I kind of did that one, it just kind of squished and flattened out. So an asparagus seed is hard. It has a hard shell on it when it's mature. So that's why we don't want to get an immature berry. We want the pretty glossy red ones. So this is a really simple process. I'm gonna go ahead and just pick one. Doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead with, I'm gonna go with one that's not quite as dry as the others, and I'm gonna show you some examples. But if you look at this one, you see that it is very, very wet and messy inside, and that is the complaint that people have when it comes to saving the seeds. Now that seed is hard. It's hard. I can't damage it with my fingernails, and I can't mash it flat. So that one is a good one, but it has the sticky coating on it. So, and usually you'll have anywhere from 4 to 6 seeds. And these right here we would want to wash. When you see them messy like that and they have all of that gummy stuff on them. This one actually had, there's another one, only had 3, but they're good size. Okay, so you actually saw how messy that one was. So let's pick one that looks a little bit drier. Let's see any of these. Let's try this one right here. And let's see if I can demonstrate the difference. And you see how dry the inside of that is. Not nearly as liquidy. And the seeds actually look a lot cleaner already coming right out of the berry. So that's why I like to allow them to dry for 2 to 3 weeks. Even longer is not gonna hurt if you don't have time to get to them. You just put them off to the side and let them dry. This one didn't have as many seeds in it. It was a smaller one. I think we've got one more. This was a small one and it dried up pretty good. I don't know if that one's a good seed. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of go over this again. I'm gonna show you that you can actually just take your thumb and tear these open and push them out. And you see how much drier they are. And it's just so much nicer that way. Okay, so you can do them individually if you're just saving a few for yourself. You can do them individually like that and it's not a problem. But we're gonna do something a little different. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you how you can crush more than one berry at a time and not use your fingers to bust them open. So we've got a few of the fresh berries on the plate. You can do this with the fresh or the dry. It will work the same. I'm laying a piece of wax paper on them. And I'm gonna take my rolling pin and just roll it around like this. And we're gonna crush them. And actually what we're doing is we're bursting open the berries. So easy. Whoops, we got a couple of them stuck there. There we go. So you can see how they all burst open. Now, that was a quick way to do a handful, but if you've got a lot, you can certainly lay them on a flat surface with wax paper underneath them and on top, and actually roll the rolling pin on top of them. So that would be another method to do that. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna squeeze them out into the water and we're gonna rinse them. Now, in my experience, the ones that float usually are not good. So that's another way to make sure you're getting viable seed. So we have got these that are falling to the bottom. You can definitely tell that they are a lot firmer than the ones that are floating. So I hope you can see these right here along this edge over here. Right in here, they're floating. There's a few floating, you can see them around, but you can also see those that are on the bottom. So what we'll do is we'll pour off all the water and all the trash and hopefully just be able to reserve the hard seeds behind. Prepare the seeds for drying. Here's what I like to do. I like to take a paper plate with a paper towel, and these were the ones that were left in the bottom of our dish. And we're going to put them on there, and I'm going to dab them dry. It may take a couple of paper towels. We're going to dab them. Now, my favorite paper plate to dry seeds on is actually a Chinette, because it just seems to help absorb the water better, helps them to dry. It doesn't have the same type of coating that, say, this type of paper plate does. I really like the Chinette. So we're going to transfer these over to a clean paper towel. My plate is dry, and I have a dry paper towel, and we're just gonna transfer those. And this is where they'll stay for a week or so until they're good and dry. You want to put them in a dry, dark space. I made a mess. I'm still making a mess. But you can see they're not sticky like they were before. We'll just kind of keep them spaced out a little bit. That one's got a little residue on it. That doesn't hurt a thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to place these seeds in a safe, dark area away from humidity and allow them to dry for a week to 2 weeks. And then we're going to store them away in a seed packet. Asparagus seeds are viable for up to 3 years. And I wanted to show you that this is some that I saved from 2020. And so you can kind of get an idea. You can kind of hear that. And these do have a little bit of residue on them. You can see that doesn't hurt a thing. And these are wonderful and ready to start a new life as an asparagus plant in a brand new bed. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed bringing it to you. It's one of my passions. I love sharing the knowledge that I have acquired over the years and to share it with you so that you can go out and do the same things and bless someone else. And saving seeds is a wonderful way to bless someone. You can save and share, and it helps to build a little bit of food security for yourself, your family, and for others around you. But one of the most important things that I want to share with you is don't ever forget that your Heavenly Father loves you. And I'll see you on the next video. God bless.